Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 178th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and Audio Technica. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8bit. And joining me today, one person for the potentially very last time, cue dramatic music, Mr. Saleem Abraham, who can be found at Saleem TD and at the podcast unemployment line as of Monday, and Miss Ali Hart, who can be found at Miss Ali Hart. How you doing today, you sexy legends? Welcome to THG 2020.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be at podcast Centrelink come Monday, applying for podcast welfare benefits.
Could you imagine that line?
Oh, it'd be a who's who. I'll tell you what.
We'd see a lot of familiar faces there, I think.
Possibly. Just a bunch of people in line talking about how awesome their podcast was.
Yeah. Number one gaming podcast.
You know, I got once number one in Nicaragua. What did you do? It's like, yeah, man, cool.
Oh, my baby.
So yeah, it is with a heavy heart that we sort of welcome Saleem the Dream Abraham here to THG for potentially the last time. Dreamo.
Yeah, baby.
What's going on, man?
Well, it's been a good break, and I hope everyone had a merry holidays, war on Christmas, and a happy New Year as well. I knew going into 2020 that I would have to spend a lot of time this year focusing on really mundane, boring real life things. I have a degree that I've been doing, it feels like forever now, and I realized that I would be 47 if I finished it at the current rate that I'm going. That's like a long time away. So I've decided to really focus on just getting through that and work this year, which doesn't lend itself to playing video games and doing this wonderful hobby that we've been doing for so long. So sort of sucked it up a bit, made the decision to step away, which I think is the fairest thing. I think to you guys and to our listeners as well, it's like, it's okay if I come on 1 week and talk about Tekken out of every 8. If I'm coming on every week talking about Tekken, because it's kind of all I can really grasp or grab at that point in time, it doesn't really make for entertaining listening. New year, new pod. I'll be listening and judging both of you and whoever you have on silently in the background, and then vocally on Twitter. That's
only on Tuesdays, because that seems to be your social media day.
every fourth Tuesday is my social media day. Yeah, no. So look, it is really sad. It is a really sad thing for me to come to, and I just keep reminding myself that it's like a really positive thing that the podcast progresses after I'm no longer talking on it. And I think that's actually kind of the coolest thing. I remember when we started this thing many moons ago, I thought it would just be successful if people were listening, and we ticked that box super early on, which was great. And then I just thought, I wonder how long we'll keep at this. And will this be something that we all kind of amateur rock bandishly blow up at each other and part ways over? And that hasn't happened. And it seems like we all just have a love for it still. And I know you two certainly do. And it's nice to know that progresses and continues after today. So thank you. And I'll say some more of that later. But yeah, I'm actually really happy in spite of feeling sad. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So there's no sort of Tekken podcast-centric sort of theme show that you actually got on the works, and you're going to bring it out on a rival network and be sort of podcast rivals with us for the foreseeable future. There's none of that in typical sort of dream heel fashion. It is genuine. You are just riding off into the sunset to focus on your studies. is there a bit of a sort of dastardly evil villain sort of turn coming?
The cogs in my brain are now turning to try and work out how I can quickly and efficiently produce a Tekken 7 style competition podcast. So maybe, I don't know, maybe.
I think this is where we're actually going to find out that like our listeners actually did come just to strictly hear about Sam talking about Tekken. Now he's gone. Our numbers will just gone.
No.
There has been a lot of chatter on the socials about people missing you and missing those Tekken hot takes and devastated now that we're never going to hear about the NATO Dream Pokemon challenge tournaments and all these things that you've sort of fired from the hip about over the last few years that you
I don't recall
bring
that
to the fore.
I know Narcy's been advocating for it. I don't recall. I don't recall everything I've ever promised, but yeah, it's fine. Look, I'll pick up a Switch to romp NATO and school him any day. That's fine, and I'll just send notes for you guys to talk about. You know what I mean? We can work it out.
Yeah, maybe periodically you just send us like a dream report or something, and it's sort of like you're a field reporter sending us news from the front lines.
It'll just be screenshots of every time it says you win and like NATO's name in the corner as my opponent.
Yep.
Things like this, I can do this.
Yeah, gotta keep that dream alive somehow.
That's
don't we?
it. Gotta keep the spirit.
Yeah,
going.
but it's going to be very bittersweet. Like on the one hand, obviously want everyone we care about to succeed and do well in their life, whether it be hobby oriented, work related, love life, whatever it might be. So, we're never going to turn around and try and hold you back from finishing that degree, because as you said, there's a chance you could be 47 by the time it's all said and done. So
there's a chance you're going to be 47.
There is a like I joke, but there's a legit concern I have that at my current pace and attention, that I will be 47 by the time this fucking thing is done, and paid for like 17 degrees over in terms of how much money I'm gonna have to burn just to get through to that. Sorry, anyway, I interrupted you.
Yeah, but it's still pretty crazy to think back to sort of 2016 when we kicked this thing off in the humble beginnings of a sweat box in the inner west of Sydney at Reese Kirby's place in the spare bedroom way back when, and then obviously evolved into my then office building to the spare bedroom of my place, and now obviously we've taken it worldwide and kicking it here on the internet. So yeah, it's you're not a replaceable type of guy. Those hot takes and that passion and that fire and that justified most of the time hatred towards streamers and Twitch is going to be sorely missed. I don't know where we're going to get that kind of passion regarding those types of topics from. Miss Ali Hart and I'll do our best to bring that same energy and gusto to any news headline regarding Twitch in the foreseeable future. But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a journey. As you said, like, who would have thought we'd still be here 178 episodes later, kicking it on and having a fantastic listener base and fan base and friends that we've made out of this, and friendships that I think have probably been improved and evolved upon through this process as well, because it's come with its fair share of stresses and heartaches and frustrations between all of us, and sort of trying to juggle everything else as you're trying to do now. But man, you're going to be sorely missed, and irreplaceable piece of this podcast, an irreplaceable piece of the 8-bit. But it sounds like we're breaking up. I don't want it to sort of sound that way.
No, let's stop this before it gets too sad. I'm crying inside.
Yeah, but man, it's been a hell of a ride, and Miss Hart put me out of my misery here.
What? You want to just like make the situation like less miserable? I'm the one that said that it was like losing my brother. So who am I going to bicker with? Like, who am I going to start like little bickering like fights with?
I'll just call you. We can just bicker. Just bicker on the phone privately.
Just call up and be like, "Hey, fuck you," and then hang up.
Hey, Ellie, what are you doing? Oh, just at lunch. Yeah, get fucked.
I would never
my
do
boy.
that to you, Ali. I'd never do that to you. Brendan maybe, but not you, Ali.
Oh, definitely. I know I'm in the crosshairs most days, so I'm ready. I'll be waiting by the phone, mate.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess we can shift gears because you'll sort of do a little bit more chatting as we wrap up this episode later in the piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we can talk about things that have been happening over this Christmas break we've had, and I'd say first and foremost, one of the topics that are worth discussing is the Witcher TV series that landed on Netflix, sort of near the back end of December. There, I know we've all watched it now.
Ooh.
What do you all think?
Who wants to start? Ali, you start.
I actually haven't played a game, read a book. I had no idea. And I fucking loved it. It was really good.
Yeah,
it was
but
really good.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was shocked at like how quickly I was like drawn to it. Absolutely love Yennefer. I found her story the most interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Remember that episode 169 where I preached my video game crushiness on Yennefer? Now you see. Now you understand.
I guess I get it. She still has a stupid name though.
Well, I played The Witcher 3 over the break, and that particular version of Yennefer, having known Brendan for 11 years now, I think, that is every girl I've ever seen Brendan attempt to hook up with between the years of 2008 and 2013, thereabouts. That was like a serious, like stereotypical Brendan White lassie for a while there.
Witches?
So, yeah. Yeah, nothing to say. Hey, buddy.
I have Newt. Give it to me.
Yeah, it's cool though, right? Yeah, Yen's good. I like it too in the show. I'm really happy you liked it, Ali. Can I ask, as a person who hadn't explored the game or the books or anything, how did you go navigating the time jumps?
I figured that out pretty quickly.
Cool.
Well, not quickly, but I figured it out maybe like close to like start middle. That I'm like, wait a second, something isn't lining up here. And then there was like things where people would say something and I'm like, but if that's happening in that timeline, like what's it? So yeah, I like kind of figured it out like pretty quickly to, yeah.
It jumps like more than 20 years. Like it jumps across, I think, because it goes all the way back
story is like super old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's so much in between that they don't cover just yet in this season. Yeah, no, cool. Brendan, what do you think, mate?
I was all about it. Like the time jumps, they were jarring at times, but I wasn't like ever lost going, hang on, who's this character? Like I sort of could thread this storyline together and know they were jumping back and forth due to, two of those three leads in Yen and Geralt obviously aging a lot slower. In Yen's case, she's potentially, immortal, you could almost say, with all the witchery and things like that. So I knew that there would be a pretty sort of long, slow burn with sort of developing this universe and sort of playing out some of these threads. I liked that they sort of introduced Ciri and made her one of those three leads pretty early on, because in the books you don't really see much of her until like the tail end of book 2 and book 3 sort of she becomes more of a focal point. So they've planted the seeds early. On an unrelated note, the combat, like the sword play in this, is the best I think I've seen in any TV show, any film. Like I like that it was just heavy, like purposeful blade swings and very deliberate, and like it wasn't as like, obviously there was choreography there to make it look the way it did, but it wasn't pretty, you could sort of say, when you see some of these other ones and it's like all these little jabs and like just this sort of unnecessary sword play. Like it felt like how combat should be in that era, and how it also plays in the game, and how it sort of sounds from some of the the Sapkowski literature from way back when. But Henry Cavill as Geralt, my God, he was brilliant in it, even down to the grunts and the the gravelly voice and things, just like it is in the game.
Yeah,
I have actually gone from like not even giving a damn who Henry Cavill is or what he does at home to an absolute super fan of his, like pretty quickly within that time space.
Miss Ali,
Yeah.
have you seen Mission Impossible Fallout?
No, I've
Watch
only
it.
seen one Mission Impossible. It was the first one.
There's that's something we need to talk about. But just watch all of them, but then watch Fallout, the latest one, because he's the antagonist in it, and he has an incredible fight scene in the bathroom with Tom Cruise and this.
I've heard about this meme. Does he reload his arms?
It's the reloading of the guns.
Reloads his arm and a beard appears in the original trailers.
Yeah.
That's magic. This guy's great.
Yeah.
I just like because he's like absolutely jacked, but he's a big ass nerd. So he's like those two things that everyone says can't go together. So he's like a unicorn.
I'd say you'd especially love the fact that when they talk to him about, what platforms he play on, and he's just like, PC. PC's the only way to go.
They said Xbox or PlayStation, and he said PC with a very disgusted look on his face.
Yeah, he is the best. I really liked it. I'm surprised it was like as well received as it was, just because I did think that it's very dense. It's a very dense story that they're trying to tell, and they have actually, I think, done like really well. Yeah, the combat's baller. I've never seen any hand-to-hand combat that's like as visceral and well done, particularly with swords. Like sword play that well done is just, I don't know.
Like that battle they have at the tail end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Where he's fighting through the town. Oh my God.
It's sadly the best.
Magic.
I think it's the best one as well out of all the battles. Like, I found the Battle of Sodden Hill like not as cool like that, not as dynamic, and the one in the court at Sintra was good. It's just not that first episode that just was incredible.
They had to leave an impact, didn't they?
Well,
he gets that nickname. Obviously that's where you see the Butcher of Blaviken nickname come from.
Yeah.
So I guess they wanted to get it off on the right foot. So moving forward into that second season, they're saying there's going to be no time jumps. It's just going to be linear from here on out.
Yeah.
Apparently there might be a few flashbacks, but it's going to sort of follow the story as it was moving into season 2, which got renewed before season 1 even came out, which is a nice sort of showing of confidence from Netflix. So we've got to wait till 2021, which makes me a little bit sad, but
yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's so good. We binged it in a day.
Yeah, I kind of hoped in the second season, one thing that I really liked, and I like, because I know everyone does the stupid comparison of like, it's better than Game of Thrones kind of thing, but the one thing that really stood out was the monsters. I really liked the monsters that he fought, like the cursed...
The Kikamore.
Sure.
Well, that's the
first one in the castle.
That's the first one you see, but then there's a whole bunch of them in there.
Yeah, not the spider one that you first see, but the one that's like in the castle and comes out at night.
Yeah,
I don't want to say too much in case the person hasn't seen it. So, but like that particular design, like freaky as shit, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. That they were pretty intense looking monsters, and I hope that there's more of that.
I'd say there'll be more, and they look good, but you could see at times the CGI was cheap occasionally. So I'm hoping off the back of this hype that they'll have a bit more cash.
I think where CGI was a bit cheap was sometimes with like the eyes. that was the only thing that I ever got thrown off, was when like the eyes were involved, because I think Yennefer couldn't wear contacts. So they had to digitally do her eyes purple, and there was one time where her eye wasn't purple. And so I just like got thrown off.
There's so many monsters though, like just play the game or read any of the books. Like the level of detail they go to in talking about the monsters, and then like the variety. It's not like they just have vampires. They have like very specific kinds of vampires, and they're all very different from each. It's really cool. I could talk all day. We could talk all day about this.
Yeah. But like, I just hope, like, because I know that's a lot to do with the Witcher series and games and everything. I just want more of it next season, because I really enjoyed it.
I'm telling you, play the bloody games. I played the game in anticipation of the... Look at Ali's face, just like, I just lost Ali.
Even just time jump and go to 3, because number 1 was a bit of a tough sled. 2 was better, but 3 is perfection.
Yeah.
So... jump to 3, you'll have a bit of an understanding from things, even from the show, as far as things they'll reference from the past, and yeah, you'll have a hell of a time because yeah, it's one of the best games ever.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, another quick one. I think we've all seen Star Wars now.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you grade it out of 10?
5.
A 5.
I didn't like it at all.
I haven't really pondered on it too much. I did it. I don't know, Brendan. What did you think? I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't an amazing film, I guess is the way you could put it. Like it's not a 10 out of 10. It's not a 9 out of 10. It's maybe a 7-ish out of 10 for me, and that might be
Which
even
is now like a 6. He said 7-ish, so now that's a 6.
Yeah, but even 6 is too high. Like maybe it's like just on the halfway point.
Like a 5?
I don't know. Yeah, but the thumbs up, thumbs
scale.
down metric, you're giving it a thumbs up though, right?
Yeah, I'm giving it a thumbs up. Like from personal enjoyment and some of the set pieces and some of the things that old JJ did were great. Some of them were a little on the nose, but for what he had to try and do to wrap this trilogy up, obviously he helped the first one, and then Ryan jumped in on 2 and came out with some pretty fantastic and unique ideas. So they had to either wrap that shit up or poo-poo that really quick.
But he did.
Some were handled better than other.
Yeah. He did poo-poo literally anything that was suggested or introduced into. He wound it back. Like even whole characters like that.
Finn's love interest, the Asian lady, that got absolutely obliterated on social media, which is disgusting in itself. But yeah, they just made her an afterthought. Like, spoilers, it's nothing key to the plot, but yeah, she was nothing in the third film, which was very sad and upsetting to see.
I've never hated a character more than Rey, I'm just going to say.
Rey?
Really?
Yeah, she annoys the fuck out of me.
Why? What is it about her?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's like the acting. I don't know if it's how they've just made her as a character, but I just really did not like her. There was like a lot of conflicting things on like when you first met her and what her ideals were, and then like towards the end and this,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden those ideas just took a change, and then she was outraged for no reason, and I'm just like, this movie, I have never eye-rolled so much before in my life. I've even done, like, that meme where the girl's got her hand up like what the fuck, like kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I did that. I actually physically did that twice in the cinema, and I'm sure the guy next to me was like having not a good time seeing this girl being like, what the fuck? Like,
I think it's, and I think it's just the problem that they created for themselves, Disney, from the outset. Like, they had no trilogy written. They just had JJ with like a thought about where he wanted to start and where he wanted to end. And then they gave Rian Johnson full creative control of the second film to do whatever he wanted without really going through many, without going to control the story in certain ways so that it's consistent enough. Like, even in tone and theme, it's the second is such a huge deviation from The Force Awakens that anything after that isn't consistent with that is just it's just the worst. And like, the JJ could have just been like, all right, I like what you did, I'm gonna just work with this somehow. But instead, he clearly had a thought about where he wanted this to go, and he tried setting that up in The Force Awakens. Didn't work in The Last Jedi. So he retcons everything, any possible thing he can. He retcons it in Rise of Skywalker. And it didn't even feel like the ending of a trilogy without like spoiling it. It was meant to be, like Lucas said, it was meant to be a trilogy of trilogies, right? This whole story. And so then you look at this last one, you say, well, this is meant to wrap up the other two. Like, this is meant to be the story that wraps up the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a wrapped up shit. I feel like I am less interested in all of them now. And I also do feel like you know, again, without like spoiling, I feel like there are so many teasers and Easter eggs in the last film that all they're doing is setting up extended universe shit, which makes me feel so gross, like even more gross about Disney. I just really, I started by saying I didn't know how I feel about it. I know exactly how I feel about it. I hate this film. I hate Disney. I kind of am getting tired of Star Wars as well now. Like, I don't know what Star Wars is anymore. Star Wars when I was a kid was cool lightsaber battles. Then as a teenager discovering the older Star Wars, it was this really good family story. And now it's like a fucking merchandise and marketing vehicle. Like, that's all it kind of seems to be.
To be fair, the third movie of the original three was like a marketing thing. But
which one?
So they always said that the biggest issue was Ewoks were introduced just to be a selling point for kids' toys.
They were meant to be Wookiees, weren't they? It was meant to be sort of Kashyyyk as a homeworld, and
it was just everyone more highlights that they were purposely put in there because they knew that they would sell, kind of like Baby Yoda.
But that's fine. Yeah. When you've retained the merchandising rights to a franchise that has blown up like nothing ever before it.
Smartest thing Lucas did, right?
Do whatever you want. Yeah, but this is like that is a conscious decision in one film. The films now are being created specifically with marketing in mind and specifically with like expanded universe building in mind, so that they can solidify the future of this franchise as a money-making machine. It's not about story. It's not story first, not by any measure.
There was elements there that could have just so worked too that I was kind of on board with. And I just want to preface that I went in, I just wanted to at least feel like I just want to be like, cool, it was a good movie, like there, and that's it, that's the end. That's what I wanted out of it. But because there was just so many moments where I was just like, are you fucking serious? Really? Like, and then it's just like there's a lot of moments where like if they could have a person in the corner of the screen going, look, reference. Look over here, reference. Yeah. So in the end of it, I was just shaking my head.
Yeah.
I really did want to like it. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too. I do think, to be fair though, I do believe that this film and these films are not created with maybe people like me in mind. And I do think that they have a really broad audience that have discovered Star Wars for the first time, like be it kids and things like this. And I think they would probably see this and love it. And I think that that's great. That's spectacular. And I'm all for that. It's the identity of it's changed so much, I think, in our lifetimes that maybe it's harder for us to attach to it. Yeah, so, and that's sad, but it is what it is, I guess.
It's become more sizzle and less substance, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about the cool battles and whether it be lightsaber battles or spaceship battles, and like there was some really cool imagery in this film. Yeah. Like you and I gushed a little bit here and there, Dreamo, after we watched it regarding some stuff with Kylo and Rey in a few scenes. Like, not going spoilers, but it was coolly done. But yeah, it's more about getting, as you guys said, getting new eyes on the product and making new fans, and you see the marketing campaign, like you see DD, which is this new Uber equivalent, promoting Star Wars now, and little kids dressed as Rey, and all these new toys with lightsabers and Legos and whatever else. Like, it's clear that's their focus point, as opposed to making the next Citizen Kane, Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, we'll get another trilogy. We'll get more.
Yeah,
the wheels keep turning.
I have really positive things to say about it. I could only talk about it in a spoiler-free context, so I won't do it here. But I'm not all poo, but I'm like 80-20 poo.
I'm excited if the rumors are true that Taika Waititi is going to get a Star Wars film, though. If he gets some free reign to make some Star Wars, like we saw what he did with Thor Ragnarok, like give me that in a Star Wars universe, and I will be there. Opening day, midnight session. Like, I love me some Taika. I watched Jojo Rabbit the other day too. Holy fuck, that's a great film.
Cool. I saw what he did with the final episode of The Mandalorian, and I wasn't impressed, if I'm being totally honest. No one who's
I
watched
can
The
get that.
Mandalorian can say that last episode was a good sign off. It wasn't. Sign off.
I
send
get
off.
that. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. There was a lot of elements where I was kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, I was kind of like, But probably my favorite intro to the episode.
I know we've been...
Just the
Sorry, go on.
Just the two guys just chatting, just shooting the shit, just showing that they're like, these are just two guys that have a job, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I loved that they just doubled down on obviously the ongoing joke about how troopers are really bad shots.
Yeah.
And they're trying to shoot that thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
good.
it's so meta right now.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I don't want to talk spoilers on The Mandalorian. I like parts of it because it's connecting breadcrumbs from other universes, which sort of made me fanboy a little bit. But that's where I'll leave it. But yeah, should we shift gears and keep moving in through this episode?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, so a quick bit of housekeeping. Obviously, 8bitnation.net is your centralized link to get all things 8bit. They'll have direct access there to the Patreon, to the web store, to the Discord, to the Facebook, to the competitions, you name it, 8bitnation.net. Or if you just want to check 8bit content as a whole, obviously 8bit.net is our usual hub. But February 10th, mark that in your calendar because 8bit Day is back upon us. It was the 14th last year, but we thought we'd shift it a little bit forward because we've got some exciting plans we want to talk about. We've got some new content. We've got new content creators, new shows, new plans for 2020 and beyond. So February 10th is phase 4 of the beast that is 8-bit. So keep that locked in your calendars. February 10th, we're going to have some announcements and some nice reveals and some pretty cool stuff we've been working on the back burner that's going to come to the fore February 10th, 2020. Get hyped. So let's move into a bit of news.
This week's news headlines.
We're going to do pretty much bugger all news today because we've got a couple of fun sort of recaps we thought we'd look at as well. But as far as news headlines, the year is only 19 days in and we've already been hit by an absolute stack of delays. Obviously, late last year we had delays with Doom and The Last of Us announced, but sort of now we're in 2020, we've had 4 notable games all been pushed back. The first one, Final Fantasy VII, goes from March 3rd to April 3rd, so only a month, which isn't too bad. It's sort of on brand with what Square's been doing with Final Fantasy the last several years, though, so not surprised. I think we're all probably in agreement that take time to get the game released the right way from the jump, you know? So take as much time as you need, developers, because no one likes a rushed, patchworked game that's going to sort of fall well short of expectations. So Final Fantasy VII, Anthem, yep, lest we forget, goes from March 3rd to April 3rd for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Iron Man VR goes from February to May 15th, which is a PlayStation VR exclusive. And then following that Marvel-esque theme, Marvel's Avengers moves from May 15th to September 4th. And the last one, the biggest one, at least in my opinion, Cyberpunk 2077 goes from April 16th to September 17th. So that is a hefty jump there. You know, we're going to be bumping down 5 months to wait for some of that Keanu Reeves Cyberpunk goodness. But what do you guys think as far as these delays? Anything that sort of upsets you? Anything that you see a positive out of this? Give it to me.
None of this upsets me. Like, none of these majorly on the radar. Cyberpunk being pushed is actually good for me, so I can focus my time strictly on Animal Crossing. So,
yeah, that's the back end of March. Right? March 20? Is it March 20?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Sam's just...
Even you know how ludicrous that sounds.
Huh? I'm not even kidding.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
It's my shit, okay? So yeah, I'm happy Cyberpunk got pushed.
What about you, Dreamer? Anything here sort of make you feel good, make you feel bad, make you feel anything?
I'll tell you what, mate. My nuts clench every time I see Square Enix push back a Final Fantasy title. Yeah, I know it's only a month. It's literally 31 days that they push it back. But I will not be surprised if this game comes out. And much like Final Fantasy 15, halfway through playing it, everyone feels like there's something missing. And they've just tried making a deadline. hopefully that's not the case. 30 days, if you're going to make a delay, 30 days is quite a short one. And I don't know enough about like dev and publishing to know if that's concerning that they needed 30 more days.
Just
like
30 more
just
days.
30 days. Like, are they being conservative with whatever they've laid on? But yeah, that's the only thing that I thought about. These other ones, the delay from Cyberpunk made me wonder if it's actually going to come out this year or if there'll be a second delay later this year. Because of just how big it is, and playing The Witcher 3 over the break and seeing how big that game is from 2013, I think. Like, just I can't even begin to explain how big that game is and just how polished it is. I have absolute faith in CD Projekt Red, but I don't know. It's hard to fathom how big this game could be.
Well, they're saying that Cyberpunk is going to be smaller in scope than The Witcher 3, but lends itself to more replayability. So as far as time consumed, it's probably going to be pretty similar to The Witcher 3, which came out 2015, Dreamo.
2015.
As an aside, it's cool to see
it was 2015,
this uptake of these games off the back of The Witcher on Netflix, something we probably should have mentioned at the start there. Like, it's as popular as it's ever been, this game. Like, you see the numbers of concurrent players on Steam, and they're hitting all-time highs. So it's cool to see that off the back of Netflix, CD Projekt Red are getting some justified props and acknowledgement of this fantastic game. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake, obviously that month delay is something, but remember, this is only sort of the first episode or chapter as well. This isn't the entire game. So this is just a portion of the entire game that's getting pushed back. So as far as those clenched nuts, Dreamo, I think you're probably justified in feeling that way. A lot of people waiting with bated breath. Marvel Avengers, which is interesting, falls into a similar release window as Cyberpunk, but as you said, Miss Hart, like that March-April window, it was looking like there was Animal Crossing at the back end of March. There's Resident Evil on the 3rd. There's
Eternal.
Final Fantasy around there. Doom's there as well. And Cyberpunk. Like, it was an absolute minefield of tentpole games coming out within a 3 to 4 week span. So it's nice that there's a little bit more room to breathe now and focus on the beauty that is Resident Evil 3 Remake, well as Animal Crossing, Doom Eternal, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Chapter 1. So, yeah, Dream, I think it could be well, like, justified on your thoughts of maybe Cyberpunk getting delayed a little bit more. Maybe they're going to push it back a couple more months to release day one as a next-gen title as well, concurrently with current gen, with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, which are coming out holiday season. So it would be an interesting way to move units, where it's like Cyberpunk would look the best it can on these other two platforms. Let's get it.
How long have we been waiting for Cyberpunk? Wasn't there this whole gap where we knew it was happening, but we barely heard anything, and then we got some information, and then it kind of got pushed back, and then, like, it's been like the slowest kind of release of a game, right?
Yeah, I'm trying
Not
to
including Death
see
Stranding.
the initial announcement, because it was way back when. Like, obviously they had the URLs and the domains listed for forever and a day. There we go. 2012 was when it was initially released, and in 2013 January it was had a teaser trailer drop. So
that's fucking long.
it's been on the back burner for a while.
Oh well, September 17th, kids, until the next pushback.
All right, so let's shift. I thought we'd have a little look at the best of the decade games, and this comes via way of Metacritic. So this list below is graded on the scores that they were given as far as first place rankings from various media outlets across the internet and across the globe. And I guess we could. I don't think we want to do all 20. Maybe if we just look at the top 10.
Sure.
So coming in 10th, as far as the games of the decade from 2010 to the tail end of 2019 there, in 10th we had Red Dead Redemption 2. In 9th, Mass Effect 2. In 8th, Minecraft. 7 was God of War, which was the 2018 release of God of War. 6 was Grand Theft Auto 5. 5 was Dark Souls. Number 4, The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Number 3, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Number 2, The Last of Us. And the number 1 game of last decade, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which had an absolute bucket load of first place votes from all these best of the decade games, with 17 first place votes across various outlets. And then sort of looking at the rest of them, the next highest was The Last of Us that had 3 first place votes. So you can see it was pretty unanimous that a game that I still don't think's as good as what people say it is in the The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, taken out top spot. Are you guys sort of in agreement with where these rankings sit? Have you got any ones you want to dispute that should be higher or lower, or even a game maybe that didn't make the 10 that could be just on the fringe? There's some interesting games that are on the fringe. I think the one I wanted to bring to light at number 17, Pokemon Go, was 17th, which, get off the list. See you later altogether. Pokemon Go. Bye.
I just want to make mention, we didn't bring it up because we didn't do top 20, but it seems like Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 made games of the decade, so that's pretty cool, having 2 of them in there. Yeah,
Rockstar, a little flex there with 3 of the top 20 games, or 3 of the top 15.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I'm actually quite surprised that The Last of Us didn't take the top position, but then again, I guess it just makes sense that it was going to be Zelda, because I think maybe Zelda's just more of an accessible game than Last of Us. I'm not the person to be defending that one.
Yeah.
But
What about you, Dreamo? What do you think about this list? Do you think it's pretty justified? Do you think there's some head scratches, whether it be in this top 10 or some of these other numbers on 11 through 20? What's your thoughts?
I think this is the most potent syringe of nostalgia for me, looking at these titles on this list. It reminds me of just how big this decade really was in gaming. To go all the way back to something like Skyrim in 2011. I remember so much about my life back then, and it was so long ago. It's just really, I don't know, it's an incredible feeling to think about these games. I agree with you entirely about Zelda being number 1. I don't think that game is close to the perfect game that people like to think it is. And I think it's very much a knee-jerk reaction to this being a completely different take on a very long-running franchise that coincided with the launch of a brand new console, which was a smash. I think it's a good game. I just don't think it's do you remember seeing all the 100% and 10 out of 10s that it got, and you play it and it's no, there's nothing really, there's something good here, but there's nothing revolutionary here that isn't being done in RPGs or hasn't been done in RPGs elsewhere. It just hasn't been done in a Zelda game, and so everyone's lost their shit. It's a beautiful game though, and particularly the art. The art direction is fantastic. It's a bit weird to see that at number 1. It's definitely weird for me to see The Last of Us at number 2, because I don't think it sits that high on this list at all. And I know Jono's eye rolling right now, knowing that I've probably only gotten 2/3 the way through that game. And it's a good game. It's just not number 2 of 10 years of gaming. That's the second. Don't know about that. Skyrim was such a world-changing game. If you think about just how much people pulled towards that game, Grand Theft Auto 5 was a world-changing game for so many reasons. Minecraft was a world-changing game.
Literally,
yeah. You just got to consider the magnitude of just how much of an impact these games have had on gaming. And then you got to look at The Last of Us 2 and say, was the story really that good, or was it a tired trope of a dude and some girl and the unlikely relationship and a father-daughter bond, that we've seen 1,000 fucking times in other mediums? Come on, where are we?
Yeah, it's interesting, and a lot of valid points. You look at sort of the first place votes, and a vast majority of games all through the top 20 have at least got one first place vote. Like seeing games like Fortnite get a vote, Nier Automata got a vote, Super Mario Galaxy 2 had a vote, Minecraft first place vote for game of the decade. Obviously Grand Theft Auto 5 got one, Dark Souls. So From Software, obviously Dark Souls came in at number 5 and Bloodborne came in at number 13.
That's another one.
2 groundbreaking games, especially Dark Souls for its time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're genre not for everybody, but mate, the uptake on these Soulsborne-oriented games has been huge. Like you're seeing it now with Neo and Sekiro and stuff like that. Like it's a genre that's embedded now in mainstream gaming. So it's cool to see some of these smaller games for its time. Like a Dark Souls came out from Software that were pretty unheralded at the time to blow up and finish top 5. Nice work. Fortnite at 12, like they're worthy of being on the list just due to, I guess, the global domination that game has created. But it's funny because there's no PUBG on this list yet. There's a Pokemon Go on the list, and even Doom falling in at 20, which is surprising. I'd probably chuck a PUBG in maybe at 20 over Doom, just off the global hysteria that came when that game was released, and this whole battle royale genre that just went boom and pop, and everyone was all about it for a hot minute there. So yeah, it's cool to see. But yeah, Zelda Breath of the Wild number 1. Get out of here.
Do you reckon people, like, when they were told to vote, they said, "Oh, does Ocarina of Time fit within the decade?" And they go, "No." They're like, "Oh, fuck it, Breath of the Wild then."
Yeah,
I don't know what
Close
it
enough.
is, Ali. Like, there's a spell that's been cast over the world with this game, and I don't know.
I enjoyed my time with it. Granted, I haven't even touched the story yet.
You're still just running around, starting fires, cooking recipes.
Exactly. I've opened up majority of the map, but I still haven't, like, talked to the princess or whatever. She's just sitting there holding back the castle, and I'm like, fucking apples.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Apples and shrines, baby. So what would, looking at this list as far as games of the decade, what would your number 1 be?
I'd say Skyrim.
Yeah?
Yeah, especially when it initially came out, like I didn't buy, I got it for Christmas or my birthday or whatever, but specifically like the Xbox was for Xbox 360. Xbox 360? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was for Skyrim. It was just for Skyrim. So, and then I bought it again on my PlayStation, and then I bought it again on my PC, and I mean, I would have loved to have tried it in VR.
It's pretty good.
So, I don't know, I think that one has the biggest impact.
I remember the opening scenes of that game where you're just this rando that's arrested in the back of that cart, and the dragon comes in and is breathing fire and disrupting this sort of township that you're going through, and then you're obviously just unleashed upon this giant snow-capped fantasy world. Like, so good.
Like, yeah, actually, fuck Zelda. Like, everyone was like, see that mountain? You can climb it. You can fucking do that in Skyrim.
Yeah,
you could do that in bloody Elder Scrolls prior to that as well.
Yeah, you know? So Oblivion.
Yeah, that's
that
the one.
game. That game frustrated the hell out of me. The only one that would probably be close, maybe Grand Theft Auto, because I have actually clocked a lot of time on that one. But
yeah.
Unrelated
tough,
note for Grand Theft Auto 5, it's now available as part of Xbox Game Pass.
I saw this.
Oh,
I saw this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tekken 7 just
Yes,
came on
I saw that too.
Streamo.
I saw that too. I was looking at it last night, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'd say out of this gen or previous decade, I'd go with The Witcher 3 as my number 1, just as far as enjoyment, the amount of time I got out of it, the story, the graphics, the combat, everything. Like, you know, anything that we've talked about this whole episode, Witcher themed, would be plugged right into The Witcher 3 as far as my love levels. So I'd give that game of the decade for the 10s.
I would have to. It's very difficult. It is very difficult. I would have to go in and bat for either Minecraft or Skyrim. Yeah, it's kind of got to be one of those two, because I feel like those were, like, particularly Minecraft. It's hard to imagine world before Minecraft because it's of how big it's been, and it's one of the highest selling games ever. It was the number one in units sold for a very long time in history, and I just feel like it's just such a beautiful game, and it's I don't know, it's hard to talk ill of Minecraft as much as you've tried, Brendan, in your
I'll talk ill of Minecraft right now. I bought a new world just yesterday called Dino Dig, where it's pretty much you're reliving Jurassic Park, you're digging up fossils and you're bringing them back to life and putting them in a big dinosaur park. So digging fossils, great, happy days. Finally found all the bones to complete the T-Rex skeleton. Go to the machine to, sequence the DNA and whatever else and bring this thing to life. And it's glitched out halfway through, and no matter what I do, if I roll back the saves or roll back a backup to several hours prior, it's still jammed on there. So the one dinosaur that I wanted to bring back to life to relive my childhood fantasies, I can't get without nuking this whole server and going again. So Dino Dig and Minecraft and Mojang, fuck you.
Just go back and play Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The dinosaurs are already there in Ark, though. I like the digging and the building back and all that.
Ark was freaky as fuck, man. You're just minding your own business. Next thing you know, a freaking raptor just stomps your ass.
Oh, yeah. Interesting to go back and look at these lists, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go should be on there, but everything else I think is pretty justified. So
wait, did you say shouldn't?
Pokemon Go shouldn't be on there, yeah. I don't think it should. Maybe from global hysteria point of view, but from a game,
it's a
pretty
impressive
to the rest
game,
of the games on this list.
It's a pretty impressive game. It's being a mobile game. It's actually opened up the franchise to whole new audiences, like people who had no business playing Pokemon, people who are 20 years older than all of us play Pokemon Go.
It's true.
Maybe I'm just salty that Mass Effect and Andromeda's not on this list.
I was going to say, if there was a game, Mass Effect 2 is. If there was a game,
is in there.
Yeah.
No, I said Andromeda as a tongue-in-cheek joke because it was
how
shitty and poorly received.
How appalling it was. Is there a game on this list that you guys would like to see on there that isn't? Oh, sorry, is there a game not on this list that you guys would like to see on there?
Close toss-up between Resident Evil 2 Remake and Horizon Zero Dawn at the back end of this list for me. I wouldn't put them in the top 10. I'd put them in the high teens. One of those two games, I think, could be debated to go in there.
Ali?
Yeah, I'm not majorly a person that plays crazy mainstream popular games, so I think what's valid is there based on my own personal opinion. Then it would be titty cooking game, but what about
Destiny? Destiny's not there.
No, I think it's a pretty valid list. I mean, having an Animal Crossing would have been pretty cool. How many Nintendo games are on there? One,
a couple.
2? Oh, that's not actually technically not Nintendo. 1.
Yeah, Mario Galaxy, Odyssey, Zelda. It's 3.
3. Okay, no, that's pretty valid then. I think, I don't know, I personally think that everything's pretty good across the board. I'm maybe surprised Overwatch didn't make a...
Nah, you serious?
I mentioned.
Overwatch is not revolutionary at all. Is it? I don't know. Sorry, maybe I'm talking out of school here. I just it. If you look at the numbers Blizzard games get these days, they're not very high comparative to everything else that's going on. In terms of purchases and also in terms of viewers on Twitch.
Yeah, I guess it's just because they created that whole Overwatch League kind of business as well, and I think that was probably the first time I really saw it being handled as a sports event.
Yeah.
So, by outside audiences, I know everyone else is probably yelling at me talking about League of Legends, but
it certainly helped to break into the mainstream. That's for sure. In the Western audience, obviously LOL and things like that are huge, particularly through the East. So, seeing Overwatch played on ESPN and things like that was something you wouldn't see. You wouldn't think you'd see in this climate. So
yeah, but they also did so much to really protect the players who competed in those tournaments by having rules about what their salary can and can't be and their sleeping arrangements, all that stuff. They actually were the first, I think, that had really set up some kind of framework for a healthy business relationship with these players where they're treated like people.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's shift gears into the final segment of this podcast. And what we're going to do, we're going to look into our crystal balls here and take part in a video game draft of upcoming games that are coming out in this current calendar year. So we're talking games just released in 2020, and what it's going to be based off will be off sort of critical scores. So we're using our fantasycritic.games, and what they do is they correlate all the data through Metacritic and provide scores of these games based off real world data. And then come end of the year, it'll give us a total overall score based off the 6 games we've selected today. And then obviously whoever scores the highest wins the inaugural 8-Bit Invitational as far as video game drafting goes. It's a snake style draft. So what that means is Saleem the Dream is going to be picking first. I'm second. And then Miss Ellie Hart is third. And because it's snakes, she picks 3 and 4. Then I pick 5. Dream picks 6 and 7, so on and so forth from there. And once these games are selected as well, no one else can pick them. So say Saleem the Dream picks The Last of Us Part 2, it cannot also appear on mine or Ali's list. And at the very end, I'm pretty sure I've got it set up where we can also have one last game where we can pick a game off our respective competitors' lists where we think it will underperform. So we can pick a game that we think will do the worst of that list to give us some bonus points come year-end recap. Beautiful. So without further ado, let's kick off the 8-Bit Invitational Video Game Tournament for 2020. So maybe sort of, I think we probably should step the listeners through our thought process when we are picking these games. We don't have to sort of dive to a massive granular level, but just give us some feedback on why you picked Title X, why at the position you did.
Yeah, sure. Well, I love going first. That's pretty cool. And my publisher, Poo Poo Kaka Holdings Proprietary Limited, what we value is hype. And I don't think there's a game more hyped this year than Cyberpunk. So that will be my number 1 pick.
Ooh, solid pick. In agreement, Poo Poo Kaka seems like they are very forward-thinking and going with the people's vote and the hype, and anything attached to Keanu Reeves obviously generates some positive glows. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
So Harvest the Storm, my publisher, is up next for the 2nd overall pick, and I will draft my game right now. And I am going to go with, I feel, a pretty safe bet here, and take The Last of Us Part 2 at 2nd overall on this list, because obviously we saw it just get 2nd overall as far as top 10 games of the last decade. So let's see if it can get up there again for 2020.
All right, Ali.
So with the 2 major games,
I was just thinking that with the 2 biggest games of the year,
biggest games of the year being fucking taken away from me, I'm just gonna go with my heart and pick Animal Crossing New Horizons. Who's gonna hate a game about cute little animals? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and Nintendo games can be reviewed pretty well as
exactly. Like it's pretty safe to pick on that one. So here at Anime TT Games, we are going to go with Animal Crossing as our first pick, and because we're snaking it up, I get a 2nd pick.
Can I give you one?
What? I might. Why?
To think about? Just to think about, because I know if you don't go it now, Brendan will go it.
See, I'm not cruel-hearted that way. I know what you're probably thinking. I did look at it, but I'm gonna go for reviews, and I think it could do well. So I'm, as you would with Animal Crossing, next I'm going to go with Doom Eternal.
Solid.
Wow.
Solid.
Sure.
Hearty and wholesome.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. People like the game.
All right. So Harvest the Storm back up again after the turn. And it's interesting because my heart is telling me Resident Evil 3 should be picked here. And I know that was what Dream was sort of hinting at.
Was it?
His heart should take.
No,
and
wasn't.
I know if I don't take it.
Oh, really?
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't RE3.
Okay.
Do you think RE3 is actually going to do well, Metacritic?
I just went by what your standard was, Sam, which was,
Play dirty,
pillage
keep 'em
people's,
down.
heartstrings and just...
Yeah, I'm going to go with the heart vote here, and I'm going to grab Resident Evil 3 here for my second pick. So I've got a very heavy zombie-oriented draft going on at the moment, but I'm feeling good.
Marvel's Avengers was the game I thought you were going to pick. Because I feel like that can't be a bad game. It just kind of has to be a good game for all the time and effort they put into it. It was the major showcase for E3 last year for one of them. Like it's like it was their, creme de la creme. So I feel like with that in mind, I'm gonna have to take that up. And sorry, this is gonna take me a moment because I've got to do both. All right. Do I want to do it? I fucking hate the Avengers. Alright, yeah, I'll do it. I've done it. It's done. Marvel's Avengers, lock it in. Now, to take things down a slightly different path, a game that maybe isn't on your radar, but a game that I think will absolutely dominate in terms of people who love it and it being a good game, is the new Ori game. Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Yeah, solid pick.
Yeah. Hype factor of 88.8 according to this fantastic game thingy madooey we're doing here. Pupukaka Holdings set to make some serious profit in 2020, people.
You've got three very diverse titles there. So you've got Cyberpunk 2077, you've got Marvel's Avengers, and then you've got Ori and the Will of the Wisps as your first three picks. Mm-hmm. Solid picks, I think. Solid picks.
Thank you very much.
So if I just pull up my draft list and check out the top available games, they're saying Final Fantasy VII Remake is at the top of the pops with a hype factor of 95.7.
Let me give you every
but
reason why.
I'm not buying into this.
Yeah, don't buy into that.
Yeah, I'm going to take the second game off this list as far as hype level at 90.7. I'm going to take the PlayStation 4 exclusive Ghost of Tsushima for my third pick in the inaugural 8-bit Invitational Draft.
Okay, interesting.
Oh. Actually, I have a question. What happens if our game gets pushed back?
You lose.
What happens if it doesn't make the 2020 deadline?
You can't have a Metacritic score
I don't
if
know
it's
how
not
it
released
works.
in Metacritic.
Bit of a mulligan.
You get a mulligan.
I guess it's a 0 then, isn't it?
You can't mulligan.
So there is some risk. There is some risk there, that's for sure.
Okay. Let me have a look.
So you've got the snake turn again. So you got the back-to-back picks here. So you can start rounding out that roster rather nicely.
Yeah.
What's going to complement Animal Crossing: New Horizons and Doom Eternal?
And Doom Eternal. Let's see, because I feel like there's still some things here that we're kind of missing that could be really, really, really popular. I'm going to go with it. I've actually never played one of these games, and I actually think it's risky because I think it might not. There still is a chance that it might not actually make it, but it's got a fan base that love it. So it's been a while. So I'm going to go with Halo Infinite.
Oh, that is solid. Yeah, it's
Fair.
a solid pick.
Fair call.
Yeah. See how I go with that one. And as I get to have another pick. Man, some of these games I just don't think. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go with this one. It's a bit risky, but I'm still going to go with it. I'm also going to go with Watch Dogs Legion. It was received pretty well. It'll either be great or terrible.
I really liked the previous Watch Dogs, and Legion looks like it's more of that crazy over-the-top hack and fun, and the fact you can control all these different characters now. The fact that they don't really have a firm release date is a little bit scary, like it has been pushed back to beyond April, but I think it'll drop this year, so I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, if not, then gotta be in it to win it.
Yeah.
All right. So my second pick of the fourth round, it's getting interesting because we've gone very top heavy. Some of the games slated for this year: Elden Ring, Half-Life Alyx, which is the next Half-Life game, but it's on VR, so it could be a bit of a risk there. Everyone loves Half-Life, everyone goes mad for Half-Life. But, I don't know. Final Fantasy VII still sitting at the top there. Bayonetta 3. I don't think Hellblade 2 is going to come out this year, so I'm going to steer clear of that, even though I think it's a good choice. I'm just sort of digging through the hype factors to see what's going on here. Obviously, we've got a new Assassin's Creed that should potentially come out the back end of this year.
You know that the hype changes throughout the year, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so you can't.
But it's going to obviously, final scores are going to come along by the critic scores. So I'm going to go with Neo 2. First Neo, PlayStation 4 exclusive in that Soulsborne genre. Very well received, highly reviewed. So I'm going to go with Neo 2. So I've got like 2 samurai related games and 2 zombie related games here. So I'm very narrow minded in my thoughts here. Not by choice, just by chance. So Dreamo, got the turn. What are you doing here? The back end of 4 and the start of round 5.
I've got some Moneyball picks here, I think. in terms of what I'm going with. I'm going to R-ing between a few different games. There's a lot of like sequels coming out this year, which sorry, I'm going through all of my information here. There's a lot of sequels coming out this year, and I do believe that you know, you could probably figure out a good title to pick based off of that. You know what? God damn it! For all the reasons I told you not to pick it, I'm gonna pick it. Final Fantasy VII. I can't betray my people.
Fair.
The game has a lot of hype,
pick.
and I think, you know, I don't know. We'll find out pretty soon. I feel like I'm gonna get absolutely wizarded here by this selection, but I will pick it. And then, just as a Moneyball pick, I'm going between either Psychonauts 2 or Lego Star Wars. Believe it or not, I can't do that. I can't do either of those things. I'm going with Yakuza 7 because I remember listening to Reset podcast way back when, gush over Yakuza 6. So Yakuza 6, Yakuza, whatever it is. I feel like it has a dedicated list of fan base, you know, player base. So Yakuza 7. Yakuza.
Fair call.
Touch and go.
Yeah. I'm happy with my list, guys. I feel like I've stolen a lot.
It's very interesting. Ooh, I'm going to go... Don't know if they've got a fixed release date to it yet, but I'm going to go Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, that'll get a lot of nerds hot under the collar.
It's going to tickle a lot of nerd pickle. So Baldur's Gate 3, I think it'll review pretty well. What was the previous Baldur's? Previous Baldur's got 95. So yeah, let's get amongst it.
Let's get amongst it. See, we're getting to a stage now, there's a lot of like risky ones where I'm seriously thinking, I'm like, it could be a good game, but we've got some TBAs in there, we've got some non-confirmed dates, we could get pushed back and everything like that, but there's one that I know that will get like good ratings, guaranteed. So I'm just going to take the risk on it, and we're going to go with Hollow Knight Silksong.
Hold on, that's fair.
Everyone really liked those Hollow Knight games, so I just don't think they're going to really get too much of a negative press. The risk is that they're still sitting on TBA for release date.
Shout out to Team Cherry.
So I'm running the risk. I'm gambling with time and poor game developer like crunch time. So
and Hollow Knight, it just blew up that game. Like it's done so well for itself. It's really good to see these sort of Aussie indies make something and become something on a global platform, and Hollow Knight was certainly that. Obviously now we've got sort of Untitled Goose Game as the next great Aussie classic, but I think Silksong could be something special.
Yeah, and I'm going to select this specific one. It's kind of indie, and I'm not like... the hype factor is actually pretty low on it, but I actually really enjoyed the concept of it, so I'm actually going to choose a game called 12 Minutes.
Oh, I'm looking at that right now.
Oh, damn.
I've actually been like keen to wait for this game because I love the concept of this game. So.
I reckon you're on a hit there. I really do. I was going to pick that next.
I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, does anyone even know what this game is? Like,
I love it. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad.
I'm right there.
Yeah,
it was only announced at last E3 too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was E3 last year.
They actually had their game kind of just like showed off on Kind of Funny. They kind of gave them a platform to do a demo on it. So, but yeah, it's good to see that they've been on a bigger and bigger scale so people can see it.
Sneaky pick. I like that. I like that very much. I'm just sort of skimming through the top available games here over at fantasycritic.games, and it's not a huge amount jumping out at me. Like, I'm thinking a couple of dart throws could be a smart way to go as well. Or do I play it safe and just go the next Call of Duty? Because obviously we know that's going to come out this year. Will it be good?
No.
Maybe, but it'll review okay. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was one I was thinking about, but there's still no firm date on that for this year as well. Yeah. I'm deep in the hype factor here right now. I'm in the very low end. I'm going to go with the game that was announced at E3 recently. It was Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
I do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no fixed release date on it yet, but I thought it looked really cool. The lady that was up there presenting it was absolutely adorable. It was the first time up on stage. She's, funnily enough, since left this game, so I don't know what she's up to now. But yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo is my pick here.
Shit, people. Shit. I have no idea what I'm going to pick. I'm actually just going to have to wing it. Even though I've been winging it this whole time. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what winging it looks like, people. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, that's pretty keen.
That is quite the dart throw.
I'm not going for that. There's not a. Oh, I don't know where the dev's up to on that. Is anyone? If I asked you for your honest answer and you said, do you think it is or isn't coming out this year, what would you tell me?
Not this year.
Yeah.
It can't. I do not believe in miracles.
I could see it coming out in a holiday of this year with this new, more powerful Switch. So I could see it. I could see it. Holiday season.
You're full of shit, Brendan. I can see it in your eyes.
I'm with you.
See it in your eyes.
It's been nearly 3 years since Breath of the Wild came out, so it makes sense.
Shit. Shit. I'm gonna go Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
Because who doesn't love a bit of Guillermo del Toro? And no, it's R.R. Martin, isn't it? So it's George R.R.
I was
Martin.
about to say it's George.
Yeah.
It's George R.R. Martin, so there's a chance this game will never come out.
Who doesn't love George R.R. Martin? I can't pick another one. Whose turn is it?
Apparently it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
So what happens now is I think this is where you pick the game from our respective lists that you think will underperform.
Tank.
And then you'll be based off points from... So our lowest ranking game you think off our lists, you pick that and you'll be we'll all be scored accordingly from there.
Okay. So... Oh, good. Thank God it has a drop-down menu. So I'm picking what I think is not going to do well. I think it's going to be shit.
Yeah, that's out of both our lists. I think you only get one shot at it, but you can pick one off my list or one off the Dreams list.
Wait, is it going on my list?
Yeah.
So I want one that's going to do good, aren't I?
No, you want one that's going to do bad, because if you land on the game that's done the worst off his list, you get the points.
It's
that's
off of our lists that you pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one that I think is going to do bad. I don't think it's going to do well. I just really don't. So I'm going to do Marvel's Avengers.
Okay. So that's your counter pick, Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, well, when people saw it, like, there was like a few demos of it, people were saying that it wasn't that great.
Well, hold on. You played it, Brendan.
I did. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
You know what I'm
fun.
banking on, Ali? Let me tell you what I was banking on with Marvel's Avengers. There are so many dum-dums out there. You know what I mean? And...
Yeah, I get what you mean.
No, I just think that it has such a huge following, and often that does translate to inflated scores, as we talked about earlier with Legend of Zelda. Like, it's hard to think that this game won't be sold like across the world like hotcakes. You know what I mean? And they know that. And I do, in spite of like all of my criticisms, anything that Marvel's put its name to in the last decade has been pretty successful. And Metacritic scores, you know.
What was that last Avengers game that came out that was really bad? Not
Are you
really
talking
bad.
about Ultimate Alliance?
Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
Ultimate Alliance is a good series, though.
It was the one where everyone kind of got bored with it. It had played 4 characters and stuff like that. I played it and I thought it was not great. It got repetitive.
You convinced me. I'm gonna pick Marvel Alliance.
My counter pick. It's tough because we've got some pretty good games that I think we'll all review pretty well, and especially between your two lists here. I thought about doing the troll and going Final Fantasy VII Remake as my vote, just off the back of
that's a good
my experience
pick,
with Final Fantasy 15.
It's not a bad idea if you really wanted to go for one.
Because I'm tossing up between either Watch Dogs Legion or Final Fantasy VII Remake, because 12 minutes looks good. Animal Crossing, I think, will be fine. Doom's going to be great. Elden Ring's from Software, so it'll be good. Hollow Knight will be good. Halo will be good. Ori will be safe and stable as well. I'm just going to do the YOLO boom or bust play here, and I'm going to go with Final Fantasy VII Remake as my counter pick as the potential poo-poo game.
So here's the thing, right, about Final Fantasy VII Remake that maybe both of you are unaware. There's actually been so much shown and played of this game already that people have a really solid feeling about it, and it's got the blueprint of the original game just in terms of story beats to hit. So long as it does that, I think it's going to be okay. I think technically, like in terms of gameplay, in terms of the core mechanics and I think it'll be fine as well, because they're pretty good at progression systems. It's a JRPG. In spite of like the story issues with 15, 7, like the gameplay was fantastic in 15. So I think 7 will be okay. Which is why, and also a big fuck you to both of you for picking games on my list. Shows like the level of faith and confidence you have in me. So how do I do this?
I liked your list. It was very tough because I think we've picked some pretty decent games that we'll all review pretty well, I'd say. They're all pretty safe, I think, as far as they're all going to be maybe 70 and above on the Metacritics, I think.
If they come out.
That's true.
It's hard. It is tough. You're right. It's tough. Yeah. I think Watch Dogs Legion is possibly the most like the most uncertain. Or no, you know what?
I'd agree with you.
Neo 2. It's got to be Neo 2, right?
Well, Watch Dogs 2 got 82 on Metacritic and Watch Dogs 1 got 80. So, they're pretty safe bets. Neo got 88.
Yeah, you know what? You make a good point there, Brendan. So explain to me how this works. If I pick a counter pick and it does well, I get no bonus points? Does it have to do the worst out of everything, or?
Yeah, we feel it's going to be the worst performing game off our respective lists. So, you feel this is going to do the worst out of all of the games we've picked, and if it falls middle of the pack, I guess you'll get middle of the pack points. If it does fall at the bottom, you're going to be the king. Can
I just tell you the realization I just had, people everywhere?
What?
I'm not even fucking here at the end of the year to check the scores. So, John O'Peck out there, I'm picking Last of Us 2 to review the worst out of all of these games.
What?
There you go. That's my counter pick, The Last of Us 2.
I was going to make you come back to it for doing it.
No. I will absolutely come back. I'll absolutely come back to regret that decision.
That's it.
But just like out of, like, I don't know, some kind of rage that just built up inside of me for no reason. Pick The Last of Us 2. Can't take it all that seriously. Yeah, cool.
All right, Dreamo, did you want to give us a recap of your team that you've just drafted?
Mate, Poo Poo Kaka Holdings Proprietary Limited has decided to back Cyberpunk 2077, Marvel's Avengers, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Elden Ring, and as a counter pick, a big middle finger to The Last of Us 2.
We're going to miss them hot takes for the year. So Harvest the Storm have drafted The Last of Us Part 2, Dream's counter pick, Resident Evil 3, Ghost of Tsushima, Neo 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Ghostwire Tokyo, and my counter pick, Saleem the Dream's drafted player, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
And over here at Anime TT Games, we have got Animal Crossing New Horizon, we're a serious company, Doom Eternal, Halo Infinite, Watch Dogs Legion, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, 12 minutes, and my counterpick is Saleem's Marvel's Avengers. So
I like that we've all got a counterpick each.
I think what I like the most is that we will discover pretty quickly how Final Fantasy does. Marvel, we're waiting now till what, later this year?
Yep.
Yeah, fuck. All right, but at least we'll know.
We've got a few games like Miss Heart's got two
yeah,
that are coming out in a few months. I've got a couple that are coming out in the next few months. Dreams got one at this stage, but yeah, we'll see how this unfolds pretty quickly as far as Q1 into Q2.
It says that you can follow it, so I don't know if like people out there want to be able to see if they can actually follow our drafts.
Yeah, there is. I'll put a link in the show notes as far as where they can watch and see how these teams stack up, and yeah, this will be sort of fluid and change as these reviews come in. So, be curious to see when we revisit this at the back end of the year, which team reigns supreme. But yeah, that has pretty much been episode 178 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Dreamo, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Well, it has been a hell of a lot of fun and one heck of a journey and a great little decision I think that we made in the back of 2015 and early 2016 to start doing this. I guess I would like to, you can clearly see I've prepared this well. Thank you to everyone who's listened the whole way through. Or even part of the way through or whatever, anyone who's ever picked up an episode and I really, again, like I really thought that this would just go into the void and not be heard by anyone just because I'm a pessimist. And then like really quickly we kind of discovered that wasn't the case, and that was like really lovely. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who's gotten on board with all the nonsense over the years, Festivus, GIF not GIF, just all that stuff. Like fuck The Last of Us 2, No Man's Sky, or The Last of Us, No Man's Sky Game of the Year every year. Like all that stuff. So thank you everyone who took it seriously and didn't take it seriously. All of you. Really, really appreciate it. Huge shout out to the extended 8-bit family, which I feel like, Brendan, it's one of your greatest accomplishments in bringing all of these people together. You put a lot of time and effort into finding, great people and people who have a similar vision. And it's been really beautiful to watch 8-bit grow from just being this idea that you had back in 2013 or 14, I want to say, and into something that is now tangible and real and recognized. And it's really, like, I feel really proud of you seeing that. And happy for you and also happy for everyone who's become part of it as well. And one thing I won't miss is the social media stuff. I never really got on board with that. It is what it is. Can't ask a zebra to change its stripes. Yeah, and then I guess finally thank you to both of you and also to Reese Kirby, who started this podcast with us as well way back then and was a big part of this show for a while. I love you guys. I love you and you guys. Like, I love you both so much. And as late as I am every week, in spite of the fact that my bed is literally just behind me and I just have to roll out, in spite of the fact that I show up more often than not naked or nude in some variety, and I fly off the handle and I say a lot of dumb shit that I regret almost immediately. I'm terrified of like a scissor reel of all the horrible things I've said about streamers over the last 4 years. It keeps me up at night and makes me wonder about whether or not they were good ideas. And I feel like one day I'll have to issue a statement about like how I feel about these people. No, I'm just joking, of course. And also, yeah, I like, in spite of all that, you guys have actually really been super lovely and supportive and fantastic to work with. And it shocks me that you even still wanted to enter it into another year with me. I love you both dearly. it saddens me that we're not still doing it in the same room anymore. But at the same time, again, this is just like life and growth, and yeah. So a big thank you to you guys as well. And I love you both, and I'll be listening every week, and I'll be taking notes, and I'll be sending you those notes. With
Looking
love, as always.
Miss Hart, anything you wanna add?
I can't fight with the boss, so I don't know who I'm gonna bicker with. I don't know who's gonna be the the yang to my yin. There's gonna be a complete imbalance in the force, so I'm going to miss you. So yeah, but I want you to be happy and healthy, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Fuck Tekken.
I'll be happy. I love Tekken. It's the best. You'll never make me feel bad about it.
Yeah. No, that was that's an ongoing theme. We'll certainly miss the regular Tekken updates or the Hearthstone. Is he in? Is he out? And is he back on WoW? Where is he this morning?
Dogs.
What was he up to last night? What color pair of underwear is he going to wear today? It's it's going to be those little things that I guess we take for granted or have taken for granted at the time that are going to be the hardest to replace. I don't know if either of us are going to start rocking up shirtless or just in our jocks, but
well,
who knows? New Year's resolutions. We still got
HR.
time to lay some down. But no, it's been really good, and I know Dane specifically wanted to say, Dreamo, are you ever going to bring back the Naruto / Dragon Ball Z run, or will it remain forever on hiatus? Don't let them #run properly, mate. Haters get you down. So he wants to know, is it going to come back? Can we see some footage over the social media in any regard this year of you doing this Naruto run from sort of flashback to your past there?
Dane, I'll do it for you. For all my years Kamehamehing and Rasenganing, all the nerds, I'll do a Naruto run for you, my friend.
But no, your sort of impact on this show and 8-Bit and us, like outside of all this, cannot be sort of understated, man. Like, I've loved you and known you well before all this, and we've lived some lives over the last decade or so. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, and I feel we'll get you back on here eventually in some form, whether it be just a random yearly guest appearance where you just rock up in a mankini and bodily hair everywhere, for people to see or imagine or cringe or shudder or stiffen, whatever it might be, depending on who's listening.
Stiffen. Always stiffen.
But man, it's been an absolute pleasure to be riding co-saddle with you and with Ali and with Kerbo over these last 4 years, and you're going to be sorely missed, brother. That's for damn sure.
I will miss it, and I will miss you guys. But again, I'm very, very happy that it's not that it is in this kind of circumstance and situation, and that you guys will sort of keep the candle burning, and no doubt find someone, I don't know where, but you'll find someone out there who will do a fantastic job with it and only elevate everything you guys are doing. And I look forward to listening to the Hungry Gamers in the future.
That's going to be a long, thought-out, calculated process, because we certainly cannot replace that nudity and that sass and that anger and that tardiness easily. To find that combination of traits in a single person is nigh impossible. So we're going to actually rotate guest hosts every few weeks for the foreseeable future, and then in between that, myself and Ali are just going to smash these episodes out, and we might revert to a flat management structure so we can back and forth and bicker and get the gloves on to sort of fight on in the Dream's memory. So yeah, next week it's just going to be Ali and I, but the week after we might have the first of many guest hosts appearing on the Hungry Gamers to try and fill those naked shoes that you so eloquently brought to the podcast for many a moon now, Dreamo. But yeah, anything you want to say before we close this down, my friend?
Congratulations to our lovely friends and part of the family, Jono and Hannah, on the birth of their son, Micah, over the break.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, he's a bouncing baby boy. Seems like a chip right off the old block. He's a handsome little fella, and sadly he's already wearing Jordans. Get him out of them. Get him into some Air Max 90s or something. Jono, get it right, mate. But no, shout out to Jono and Hannah for that, and also shout out to Brent and Alyssa Dreamo, who just welcomed the birth of their son yesterday.
Shit, really?
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my god.
Yes.
Oh, we've got to talk.
Yeah, Ellison,
all right, we're going to wrap this
Ellison
up. We've
Fox.
got a lot to talk about. Congratulations.
Let's close this down. Hungry Gamers will be back again next week. Myself and Miss Ali Hart for episode 179. But yeah, this has been the last episode with the Holy Trinity here. Dreamo, sadly, you're dead to us now, but Highlander rules, there can be only two.
I wrote those bylaws.
All right. Ape Nation, much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.